Hello everyone. Finally, the exam is over. And as always, year after year, IPMAT Indore throws some or other surprise element. This year again they had some surprises in terms of having an LR set in QA short answer, uh, having 3 RCs and no question on vocabulary, the usage based vocabulary. So there were few ups and downs, very few arithmetic, not too many questions on functions and graph, too many questions from geometry. So there were changes, and I always keep on telling that IPMAT Indore will always throw some surprises. You need to be ready for it. So there were students who were ready for it and they attempted good number of questions. So before I talk about the number of questions, everything, let's see what is the paper pattern. I'm sure this is the same paper pattern, nothing changed over last 2-3 years. Short answer had 15 questions, MCQ had 30, and verbal ability had 45 questions. Nothing changed. Same marking scheme, same sectional time limit, nothing changed. If I look at the overall picture, QA short answer section, one can compare it to a 2024 level of difficulty where number of attempts the students were making were more or less same. Last year there was a set of 3 questions on statistics. This year there was a set of 3 questions on logical reasoning based on grouping. Okay, so more or less level of difficulty would remain the same for short answer. If you look at the QA MCQ section, it was difficult as compared to what we have seen in last 2 years. One, because the DI was very calculative, and other thing, there were a lot of geometry questions. But the smart students were able to figure out 15-16 odd questions and they were able to attempt those questions. If you look at the verbal ability section, it was lengthy because the 5 usage-based question, like which of the following word is not used correctly. Okay, those 4 to 5 to 6 questions which used to come over last 2-3 years, they were missing this year, and that were replaced by one RC. And the length of the RCs was also lengthy. Some of them were difficult and inference-based question. So this is the key highlight of the entire paper. Moving ahead, if you look at the quantitative ability short answer section, so this is the breakup of the question that we have got from the students. There could be some plus or minus here and there, up and there, but this is how more or less it was. The skeleton would look like. There was an LR set of for 3 questions. This set was basically based on you need to do a grouping of 75 students into 3 different groups, geologists, biologists, and there were 3 groups to be made, and then some question based on which is the median value among them, and that was the question. Most of the students were able to attempt this set, and I would say it was a easier set as compared to what we have seen last year, the set based on statistics. The question based on arithmetic sure was also the doable one. The question was if A and B were able to do the work in 12 days and A does 40% of the work, B does 60% together, they could complete in 24 days. Straightforward linear equation, you can solve this. It should not have taken much time. There were 2 questions on logarithm. So one question was basically log of x square plus something to the base 3, log of 6x square plus something to the base 3, and so on and so on. It was forming a GAP, and then you have to find out sum of this. You need to find a sum of all the terms. And the another log question, so this particular log question, student found it slightly easy. The another log question was based on, again there was a series log of a upon log of something, and this was slightly tricky for the students. Moving on to the linear equation, the linear equation question was based on infinite solution. 7m plus 11n is equal to 200. Find the minimum value of m plus n. This is very straightforward, easy question. If you know how to, so similar question we have discussed in one of the mock, and also similar question was tested in 2023. If I correctly remember, where it was again linear equation based on some 4097 was the number which was given. On the similar line, the concept was tested here. If you look at matrices was also not very difficult. Matrix A was given 2 by 2 matrix, and matrix another matrix A cube was given. So you need to find A cube from A and in matrix A cube there were three unknown element P, Q and R. So and the question was to find P plus Q plus R. Again a straightforward doable one, because A was given, A cube you need to find out, you need to keep on multiplying, again 2 by 2 matrix, not 3 by 3, so it will hardly take much of a time. Then there was a question which was based on PNC here. The PNC question was not very straightforward is what, no, the PNC question here was straightforward here in the short answer section, where you have to find out how many numbers more than 5000 are can be formed using the digit 1 3 5 7 9. So this was a doable one. The another question on numbers based on perfect square, where the question was find the number of perfect square which are factors of 3 raised to something into 5 raised to something into 7 raised to something. Again very straightforward, we have done this in concept class, so should not be a problem. Then there was a question based on remainder theorem, again very straightforward, easy. There was a quadratic equation given, ax square plus b something plus c, divide by x plus 1, the remainder is something, then you divide by x minus 2, the remainder is something. Again very straightforward application of remainder theorem. You simply substitute x is equal to minus 1 and x is equal to 2 in the given equation and you get the remainder, you equate them, solve simultaneous equation, and you get the values of a, b and c. Then there was a GP question. The students found it slightly challenging here. GP question. The coordinate geometry and the trigonometry, there were two questions. Again, the coordinate geometry, the question was easy here. Basically, it was given that the circle was passing through 2.0, 4 and minus 2, 0, and you need to find the radius. This was a easier question as compared to the other coordinate geometry question that we have seen in the MCQ section. And there was one question on Venn diagram, again that was not a very typical Venn diagram, but then could have been easily attempted. So we expect that this section was not very easy, though it was a moderate level, absolutely not very difficult. A good attempt would be anything 9 plus. Now this what we are saying, this we are saying based on what students have mentioned here. Like most of the students, I can see that they have attempted 7 to 8. There were many students who have attempted 10 plus. There are many have attempted 10 plus, and some of them attempted 9 and 10 questions. So anything which is more than 9 plus, 9 or 9 plus should be a good attempt. With a good score of 36 plus marks will be a good score. However, the cutoff will not go up to 36. The cutoff will be somewhere in the range of 24 to 28 marks. Since this is comparable to what we had seen last year, the cutoff should be in that same range, or maybe it should go up by 1 marks. No, it should not be much higher. It is highly unlikely that the cutoff would go up to 32 or 36 marks. Okay, moving ahead to the MCQ section. The DI set was calculation based. There was not a reasoning based set this time. No games theory, no reasoning. It was purely calculation. Some footwear apparel for different months were given. You need to find the net sales and then compare with from one month to another one, from footwear to apparel. You need to keep on comparing them. So that was, a lot of students found it difficult because it was calculation based. But I have come across some students. I come across some students which were able to solve all the 5 questions. So if they were able to solve all the 5 questions, then in that case probably the number of attempts for them were 18 or 19 plus. So this was a game changer. I would say that a lot of students were able to, not lot of students, quite a few number of students were able to solve all the 5 questions of DI, and if they have got all correct, that would increase their overall score on by 20 marks. So that is going to be a game changer. Then there was a remainder question, pure number based remainder, like 11 raised to 1101 plus 1101 raised to 11 whole divided by 9. What is the answer? So again, that was a slightly easier question, not very difficult, based on very basic fundamental of remainder theorem. Like you need to divide by 9, so some of the digits you get basically 2 raised to 11 1101 and 3 raised to 11. So you simply find out the remainder for in each case and then add them. SICI and time split distance. SICI, the question was, some 1 lakh rupees was there invested among 3 people. A has invested some 36,000 rupees, and you need to find out the interest that they will get in the end of second year. Student found it slightly calculation lengthy here. It was not difficult, it was lengthy, time consuming. The time split distance question, we have seen similar question multiple times in past IPMAT Indore. The based on, A can swim in 10 minutes and B can swim in 15 minutes together. If they are able to swim for 80 minutes, then for how many times they would meet each other. So this was easy, not very lengthy. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there were too many questions on geometry, close to around 6 to 8 questions, ranging from circles to triangles, polygon. In polygon, they have tested octagon, coordinate geometry, everything, each and everything that they could have tested. It was there in the exam. Yeah. So there was, coordinate geometry, octagon was there. There was trigonometry, there was triangle. Uh, Another question on circle was, there was a circle of radius 13, then the square of side 18. Two sides are tangent to the circle and something, and you need to find the area of something which was a triangle formed or something. So it was based on that. So this was slightly challenging for the student, the geometry part. Uh, Three odd questions were easy in geometry, the remaining were lengthy, time consuming. Functions and graph had lesser number of questions this time, not too many questions on functions and graph. There were some around 3 odd questions on functions and graph put together. Logarithm in the MCQ section, there was only one question. There was one question on quadratic maxima minima where the option were this is maximum or that is minimum. There was 4 options given. It was of the sentence that the maximum would be here, the minimum would be here, and there was a question based on modulus. Now this modulus question, a student told me that it was same ditto from the IMS material. The question basically was all about just so the question here was A, B, C are all distinct integers less than 100. Mod of A minus B plus mod of B minus C is equal to mod of C minus A. What is the maximum value of V? So this is the exact question that we have in our IMS material. Yeah, so it was exactly ditto same. If you know how to solve it, you could have done in less than 30 odd seconds. Then there were 2 questions on thread theory. Again, 2 more questions on AP and GP. PNC probability had 2 questions. The student in probability, some of the students were not able to find the correct answer, claiming might be wrong. We will come up with the answers once we will see if once the answer sheet is out, if we need to raise the objection for that question or not. This question was basically about there were 2 people A and B. The hitting probability of A is given and the hitting probability of B is given. What is the probability that A will not hit before B? That was the question type. So that was all about it. Yeah, and there was another PNC question which says that there are 8 teams, each play against other, one gets disqualified after 2 or 3 rounds. What are the total number of matches played? And that was a PNC question. So this was the overall breakup, overall skeleton of the MCQ question. Could be 1 or 2 questions here and there. This is based on the response that we have got from our students. If you look at the overall difficulty, this section, yes, was difficult than the last year as well. But as I mentioned, a lot of students who were able to attempt the DI set, their attempts are 17, 18, 19 plus. And the students who were smart enough, they were able to figure out, the easier question and they were able to clear them. So, I'll just tell you, in the MCQ section, we have close to around 23, 17, 40, 50, 60, 55 odd students have attempted more than 11 questions. So attempting more than 11 questions, that would, if with a good accuracy, probably scoring 40 odd marks, the cutoff should go around 32 to 36 odd marks. This is a good attempt and good score to boost your overall score. Okay, I'm sure that is something called as ATS, aptitude test score. So if you score very good in one of the section, then your ATS score becomes very high. So good score will be anything 48 plus. 48 plus will be attempting 12 attempt and 12 all correct will fetch you 48 marks. And we have close to around 50 odd students attempting 11, 12 attempts. So if their accuracy is very high, probably the chances are good that they will touch 45, 48 marks. Moving on to verbal ability. So the major change was in verbal ability. There was no word usage question and that was replaced by one more reading comprehension. There were 18 comprehension questions, 6 in each. The one based on social media, that was difficult. The another two, which was based on economics, the how the consumer behave while buying the product, and the business podcast based question. These two were easy, but all the three passages were lengthy, time consuming, and the questions were not very direct. Some of them were also inference based question. Rest everything remains the same more or less. The type of difficulty and idioms, phrasal verb, fill in the blanks, para completion, sentence completions, para jumbles, grammar based, everything else remains the same. In para jumble there were few questions which had 4 sentences and there were few questions which had 5 sentences. Otherwise rest everything also remain the same. Yes, student also mentioned that idioms and phrasal verb they have seen earlier in the IMS material. So two of the students claimed that. We will see once the paper is released. Not much difference except the one more RC said, and hence because of which we are saying that the expected cutoff might slightly go down as compared to what we have been seeing last year, 113 mark. We see that around close to around the cutoff will fall by somewhere around 8 to 5 to 8 5 to 8 marks. Maybe low cutoff should go around 102 to 107 marks. The cutoff might go down because the number of attempt would have gone down if the word usage question was not there. RC would have taken a lot of time. The cutoff slide is expected to go on the slightly lower side. If you look at the overall analysis, then anything between 60 to 62 attempt overall is a good score, good attempt, good score, total good score 210 plus. I have been telling till last year 215 220 is a good score to convert the interview. If you have a decent interview, not a very good interview. This year that number will slightly go down 210 plus. Instead of 215 220 210 plus would be a good score for to get into IPMAT Indore if you are able to have a decent interview. If you are able to have a very good interview, probably around 202 to 205 would also uh, help you in converting the IPMAT Indore. What next? Don't waste any time. I know that you have been preparing for the exams over last so many months. Last 2 months have been very grueling. After your board exam got over, you are only writing mocks and analyzing, and don't waste your time. This is the time. Start working on your PI preparation. Okay, so tomorrow I am coming again on YT. Made a video on do's and don'ts of personal interviews. Ensure that you watch them, and then we will have a one-to-one session with every student. Students who have cleared all the three sections cutoff will get a personal interview call. I am sure you are aware of this, that for IIM Indore you need to have clear all the three sectional cutoff. The sectional cutoff that we have mentioned are only and only, I would say that based on what students have said. Once the actual response sheet is out, we will come up with the actual cutoff. What are the actual cutoff? Just to remind you, last year we had predicted cutoff of 24 marks in short answer. It was bang on. We had predicted a cutoff of 35 to 39 marks. The cutoff was 35, and we had expected the verbal ability cutoff of around 107 to 108. It was 110. It went up to 112. So last year in the first analysis, based on the student feedback, the cutoff were bang on. This year I am again hoping that the cutoff that we have mentioned should be bang on, maybe 1 or 2 marks here and there. However, all said and done, we will come up with the updated cutoff once the response sheet is out. Let me take the questions. There are any? Uh, MCQ was tough. Yeah, that was tough. Yeah. DI. Okay, so there is a student who mentioned that DI simple tha. ठीक है. I mean that's what I said. DI. Uh, arithmetic आया नहीं. Yes, arithmetic was not there. Only 3 questions. PNC we had seen many total matches played. ठीक है. MCQ took time. Yes, and that's been the story for everyone. So need not worry. Need not worry. All those who had ensure that they did not panic after the MCQ section, I am sure they would have done good in verbal, because I could see some of the chats in our student group that MCQ, they panicked in MCQ and that screwed the verbal up. So if you would not have done that, I am sure your verbal would have been good. Okay, fine. So that's it from my end, and I think we are done. So Bye bye everyone. See you, and do not forget to watch the video tomorrow, how to ace personal interview. Bye bye everyone.